Hey, 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 we're
Hello, everybody.
back. We're back for another edition of Race and the Races. We are one co-host short, but she will be joining us shortly. We have prepared a show, um, try to be organized, and we got disturbing news early this morning. I actually didn't find out until a friend of mine texted me and said, "My sincere condolences to your president." And I said, "What happened to Biden?" I was
Mhm.
shocked. I was like, "What?" I said, "What happened to Biden?" She was like, "No, the Haitian president, wasn't he assassinated last night?" I said, "What?" I said, "Stand by." And it was true.
Mhm.
Um, it was unfortunately true. The Haitian president, Jovenel Moise, was assassinated between 1 and 3 a.m. this morning. His wife was also shot, but she has subsequently been taken out of Haiti. I just got reports that she was just brought here to Florida. Don't know what hospital she is, obviously, for good reason, to receive treatment. We don't know how bad her injuries are, but we do send our prayers
Mhm.
and our good wishes to the Moise family. I am of Haitian descent, so this morning it was a very difficult time. Although I used to live there when I was younger, and I wasn't born there, but we moved there when we were younger, so I am ingrained in that culture. Um, it was a very tough time. It's a tough pill to swallow. One of the things that is common amongst Haitian people is like, well, this poor little country can't get a break. We can't catch a break at all. It's it's regime after regime. Um, you know, for a country that was the very first black country to gain its independence. Which is one of our greatest legacies. But it's also one of our greatest challenges to get into a space where our government and um, our whole existence is somewhat under control. It's just been a rough ride for us. Um, I think the Haitian people really need support, and the support I believe that they need is not support where other countries come in, but more so financially. We're the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, and the reason for that is because after our liberation, the French decided that they wanted us to pay them for liberating the enslaved. And so for the past 200 or 250 years, we've been paying France, to which we had said, listen, you should give us the money back because it is just ludicrous. And France just basically told us, yeah, okay, that's not going to happen. Um, if you've ever been to Haiti, if you have never been to Haiti, Haiti is a very beautiful, beautiful country. Um, it was rich in plants and rich in just it was rich with everything. And now Haiti is almost a shell of itself. Um, and it's just a tough time. I just think that you know those who are here in this country and in other states, um, we're just trying to scramble to figure out what the next steps are. As I've been reading, the next person in line, I think, was through some sort of like a Senate or a House kind of type of structure. That person who was immediately behind him had died of COVID last month. So it's really up in the air. There are some people who are acting prime minister and acting president at this time, but it's still just in complete disarray. It's just a rough time. It's just a really rough time. And so we had to change our show a little bit to accommodate this. We've allotted about 15 minutes. I have a shirt on that says in French, I think it's in Creole, Nous la Piled. I got this shirt from Sandra Dennis, and she has an organization called Avancer Ensemble, which means we move together, we advance together. Her and a few of other people that are very active in the Haitian community, have made several comments on social media of their disappointment. This is just another challenge that Haiti has to go through. We are a very persevering country. I think we try to be very persevering. I think that the souls of the ancestors there are strong. And so I am optimistic that we will get over this hump. I'm just hoping that the way we do it, we do become a better Haiti and a more democratic Haiti, and a Haiti that I know that it could be. And so I'm just hoping for the best. So did a little bit of research, just so we can kind of give a little bit of context to Haiti and its start, and where I think, from just based off this is my personal opinion, from my personal research and just my overall thought process, is what I think is that we've never really had a cohesive start in terms of having some stability in our government system. We started off with getting our liberation in 1804, and then subsequently we had two people who were part of the initial revolution split off and split Haiti into two, basically getting two parties, one running it the way that it was, that people didn't want, and the other one trying to run it as democratically as they could. Similar to what's going on in this country now, which was happening back in 1804. So, while we're grieving and hoping for the best for Haiti, a little bit of the information that I'd like to just express about what Haiti is, where it comes from, is when we had our first empire from 1804 to 1806. And Dessalines, who is the liberator of us all, basically crushed the colonizers that came in. And when I say crush, I mean we crushed. We ran them out, and try to create something that was great for the first Black Republic, so to speak. And over time, he started off good, and then there was this part of, and I think that's what one of the issues is that once certain people get into power in Haiti, it becomes more of like want to control everything, want to be in power, and want all the money, and kind of forget the essence of who we are as a people. And in the process, it's just been this constant back and forth with people who are coming in and give this great speech about how they're going to make this country great, and then come to find out they just fall into the status quo of being in power and having the bourgeoisie, and that's their language, not mine, to run the country. And so it's just, we're trying, it's like the haves and the have-nots, and there's always this, like, it's a class, class system, and it's always this fight between those two groups and no middle ground. And so it's been this off and on in the country, sometimes with devastating repercussions, and it just continues on and on and on. And so while we wish and we pray for Haiti, we also want to be cognizant of the reason the country is in the condition that it is. You have outside forces coming in, and majority of all these outside forces that do come into this country, they rape the country literally of all its resources and all its riches, and leave the people there with nothing. And when you leave people with nothing, and they have to somehow make something out of nothing, you're always going to find a lot of conflict and contention. And if you also allow, and when you come in, and this is the outside forces now, when you come in and you basically reward the rich to continue on with leaving the poor that way, you also bring that conflict and that disconnect between the people in that country. And so I read one post which was spot on. And that post was from a group in Jamaica. Because, on social media, everybody's posting and everybody's like, sending their condolences. Countries like Venezuela, Colombia, everybody's talking about, they're so sorry and how they want to be out there. They'll be the first one to help and be the first ones to kind of, if you need anything, we're going to be there for you. But what I found was very interesting was that, so you have these different countries. You have America saying the same thing. You have Canada saying the same thing. We're here to help or whatever. But Jamaica is a little different. So Jamaica says, our hearts go out to the people of Haiti in this time of uncertainty. We must oppose any attempt to use this escalation as justification to further foreign occupation and interference. We continue to stand with the Haitian people against imperialism. And in that post, this post was on L'Union Suite, which is a Haitian Instagram platform. And one of the things that in the comments, which is mostly Haitian people, it was over and over again, because it was a series of posts that you can flip through to look at. And the Jamaican ones were the only ones that said that. And every response was like, Jamaica understood the assignment. They said exactly what it was supposed to be. Other people were like, to hell with everybody else. Jamaica's the only one that's making sense. So the people understand that there is a bigger goal at stake behind the scenes, right? While we're, knowing that, yes, it could have been people in Haiti with opposition and those who didn't like him, and, and then every country has that, right? But the bigger thing is that what has been really, and you can tell me if you've seen this, Kay, what has really been a big thing is like, a lot of companies in the Americas and different countries are buying up space in the Caribbean islands and building up spaces in Caribbean islands as vacation spots. And Haiti is no different, right? Haiti is sitting on lush land, beautiful oceans. And so to me, I think the Jamaicans are spot on. They know exactly what they're talking about. And the bigger thing that we need to look at is now we're in this kind of unstable place where we don't know who's running the country. They've shut the country down for the next 15 days, no flights in or out. You have to see the dynamics, and Haiti's been there before. And people don't talk about it, but Haiti's been there before, where we've had this type of issue. The last time somebody posted, the last time a president was assassinated in Haiti was in 1915. That's the last time. So we don't really, that's not how we roll. We do have, coup d'etats. We do try to overthrow the government, but like outright assassinating a president, or that's not how we roll. We don't really roll like that. We be trying to, we be trying to protest and stuff like that. But, going as far as doing that, that's not how we really roll.
And Nikki, it isn't, I know a lot of people, I'm getting feedback. I was going to say, like, I know a lot of people feel like their hearts go out to Haiti, myself included, the Haitian citizens, as well as the Haitian people who live here. But I think in a way, I'm sitting here reflecting, saying, but for the grace of God is us. Because this was literally almost us on January 6th. So before anyone passes judgment, it's like, oh, Haiti, whatever. Excuse me, the vice president was almost assassinated in this country. So this is really something that, first of all, realize it could happen anywhere. Like you say, many countries struggle with this. And, I can't speak to it myself, but growing up in South Florida from Miami, I remember back to the 80s when there were issues going on in Haiti. And, some of my friends came here, some were already here. I was teaching at Cypress Bay when the earthquake came. And I had students come all of a sudden who, lost their parents and then had to come to a brand new country to start all over again. And so one thing I do look at Haiti is, that country knows how to pull themselves out of something. Mm-hmm. They have gone through earthquakes and hurricanes and, like you said, coups, and, they always get back up. But however, there is something consistent that I hear from my coworkers of Haitian descent, from, my friends, and that is constantly they talk to us, talk to me about foreign influence, companies that go over. And as an American, I was shocked. Some of these companies are American companies. I remember after the earthquake, some of my friends were telling me, be careful who you give money to. Mm-hmm. Because some of these companies that say they're going over to do humanitarian efforts, it's not all really humanitarian. And so if you could talk a little bit about that, I know that that's an issue that a lot of, people who are not of Haitian descent may not realize, that there is a lot of, I don't know what the word would be, but taking advantage or capitalization of the Haitian economy and government by American companies who go there under the auspices of doing good deeds, but really go there for, like you said, taking advantage of, whether it be the labor, whether it be the land, whether it just be,
or just taking money from
political gain,
or just taking these money from corporations that set up in the name of Haitian people to donate and all that other stuff. Because when the earthquake happened, there was so much donation pouring in, but no house. There was like 3 houses that were built. Like all that money was gone, right, Sandra? All that money was.
Absolutely.
We don't know where that money went. We don't know where that money went. So I mean,
it went to administrative costs. It went to administrative costs.
Okay. I'm just saying one thing about Haiti, and what I'm confident is that we are a persevering country, and we have had our share of turmoil, and I know that it does continue. But one thing we're not going to do is pretend like we don't see what forces are behind what's going on. Everything can't just be on that little country when you have corporations upon corporations coming there and just ripping that country blind. They've taken everything that's valuable to us. And when I say they, I'm talking about people who don't belong, or who are never been and haven't been born in Haiti, don't have no Haiti, what do they call it? What's that word I'm looking for? You don't have no connection there, no lineage or nothing. You just come in the country, decide that you're gonna do this, that, the other. And yes, I'll be the first one to tell you, people in government in Haiti, sometimes, sleep with the enemy. And, it's not uncommon, but it does happen. But bottom line is that, what happened this morning is not what Haiti's about. That's not how we roll. Unfortunately, we've had this issue, and some people liked him, some people didn't like him. This happens in every country. But we are extremely, well, for me, and I can probably speak for everybody else, we denounce this with every fiber of our being. That is unacceptable. It's abhorrent, horrid, horrific. And we hope and pray that those who are responsible will be brought to justice. Right now, everything is up in the air. There's still investigations. We are prayerfully praying for the First Lady to recover well. And we ask for a speedy recovery. And at some point, we hope to hear from her and be there for her. Whether you agreed with Jovenel Moïse or not, whether you subscribe to his party or not, he's still a human being. She's still a human being. They have 3 children. And it's important that people understand that, you don't have to agree with somebody. You can always agree to disagree, but violence is never the answer. And any of our Haitian brothers and sisters that are watching, or who gets to watch this show, please keep calm, Let's not do any bloodshed. Let's try to take this one step at a time. And I know it's easier said than done because we're over here and you guys are in the thick of it. But just know that we have, we are here with you in spirit. We're constantly thinking of you, and we are working, believe it or not, with other agencies and other organizations here in this country to make sure that we are part of and participate in making sure Haiti becomes a more democratic place that we know it can be, because we are actively working here. We're just not with you physically, but we are actively working for you behind the scenes. So we're gonna keep them in our prayers, especially the First Lady. We're gonna keep the people in Haiti in our prayers. We're gonna ask that they continue to hold on to hope and know that this is not the first, and sometimes it may not be the last tragic thing that we have to go through, but we're gonna go through this together. So we're gonna switch gears and we are going to go into this District 20 race that's coming up. So like it's crowded. It's crowded.
I'm sorry, we're at 10 now, Nikki. 10
people for one.
No, 10 Democrats.
Oh, 10 Democrats. And do you have any Republicans running?
Oh yes, let me bring that up. And independents.
And independents. And you know what? Independents, believe it or not, Sandra, I think they're making a comeback, sis, because you see how many people signed up to change their parties and became independents.
They're definitely making a comeback because they believe that neither the Democratic or the Republican Party it represents their interests, and now the word also on the street is that you really can't make a distinction between either one of them. So
you sure can.
And there's well, there's some Democrats they're willing to vote for, and they may be enough, maybe a Republican that they're really willing to vote for, because of now most people who are registered independent, they really want to vote the issue instead of voting the party. So they want to vote issues and not the party.
Absolutely.
So the race has 4 Republicans and 2 NPAs and 1 Libertarian.
So we have a total of 15 people?
10, 4,
17.
15, 16, 17.
17 people?
17 people.
For 1 seat. Okay, so because in Florida we have primaries, right? So the independents and the libertarians are not part of that.
Correct.
Correct?
Correct.
Primaries. Our primaries are closed.
Correct.
It's important for people to understand. We have closed primaries, which means that when you get a ballot during our closed primaries, if independents and the libertarians will not be on the ballot.
Correct.
However,
only your party only your party candidates will be on the ballot. So if you're registered Democrat,
your ballot,
your ballot will only have Democrats on it. And then if you're a Republican, it'll only have Republicans.
Correct.
So just to remind you, because they just put in a new law, if you haven't already, I suggest you go on to the Supervisor of Election website and order your ballot, because now you have to do it every year before you can do it for the next 2 presidential or 2 cycles. They don't allow that anymore. They want you to do it every year. And then they're also purging rolls. I just got an email where they just purged the voting roll. So it's important that you are actively making sure that your ballot is valid, that your voter registration is valid, and know that Florida is a closed primary state, that you will only see the ballot that's with your party affiliation. And since this is a special election because the Honorable Hastings passed away during office, this primary will happen in November, and the election November 2nd. Thank you. Okay, and then the election will happen in January. I'm not sure.
January 11th.
January 11th. Okay.
Yeah. So I wanted to say something too, right? I think on the last ballot there was an issue that they wanted to move away from, the closed primaries, and what they wanted to do was the top candidates that had the votes were the ones that were going to end up on the ballot. So if
Right.
it was top Democrats that had it or top Republicans that had it, they would be the ones that ended on the ballot. And for some reason, I think that initiative had passed. I don't know if I'm remembering that incorrectly, but I
It
think
did.
that had passed. I don't know if that's going
It
to
did.
happen as soon as this cycle, but I believe that's going to
It
change in
did
Florida.
pass, but I think once it passed, there has to be some sort of referendum,
Hmm.
and then it has to go through some kind of stage, and then it becomes the
The law, yes,
so now
yeah.
we have to see what happens, because they didn't even touch it on the last two legislative sessions. They didn't even, I didn't even hear about it.
Right.
I was watching that channel, and I didn't hear about it, and I didn't see anybody touch upon it. And both the Republicans and the Democrats were really against this specific thing that was on the
Right.
ballot, because it favored whoever the top one. And if you have a Democratic county, you're effectively not in the top of the running, right? You know what I'm saying? And vice
Right.
versa, if you have a Republican county, you can just forget it. So I'm surprised it passed, only because both parties were against it. But hey,
I
um,
think people didn't understand it. I think people just didn't understand it because part of the thing is like with the way they word a lot of these bills and things that they put on the ballot. Most people don't understand what they're voting for because you may think you agree with it, but you really should have voted no in order for it. So
right,
it's so
Right.
confusing that I think what ended up happening is that most people didn't understand those issues. And,
absolutely.
and even the people that were given making suggestions on how to vote on them, they were completely divided. There were some people that were saying yes, there were some people saying no, and folks just pretty much followed whoever they thought
Absolutely.
whoever they thought was most aligned with them. So I think that issue passed because most folks who voted for it didn't understand what it was about.
So what's interesting, Kay, about and Sandra, about the 10 Republicans is that the
Oh, the
Florida,
10 Democrats.
The
I'm
10
sorry,
Democrats. Mm-hmm.
10 Democrats, thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
The FloridaPolitics.com
Mm-hmm.
stated that the two leading Democrats with the 10 that's there is Dale Honus and Perry Thurston. I thought that was really interesting.
Me too. And so, what was that? A poll that they did, Nikki?
I
Or
don't know. Sandra's the one that told me about it. So
Yeah.
what did it say? What did the article
So
say?
it didn't go into details in terms of like how they decided that those were the front runners, but those are the individuals who they named as the front runner. And maybe it's more like on popularity and maybe political experience or something to that effect. That might be the reason, but those were the two that they listed as the front runners for that seat.
Hey, if that's what they're saying, I'm kind of like surprised. There are two Black women running in this race. You have
right.
Sheriff McCormick, and then you also have Barbara Sharif.
It's
And
actually
then,
three. There's another woman named Priscilla Taylor that's running.
Correct. Priscilla Ann Taylor.
excuse me, Priscilla Ann Taylor. Okay, so we have three Black women running. I honestly feel like 2020, they got their little trifecta men, Black men. I think it's the year of the woman. I've always felt like it's the year of the woman. And I really feel like they need to give a woman a shot for this position. I think that, I think women should just be on everything so we can just get everybody stable and consistent, and then we'll bring the men back in to, smooth it all over. I'm just saying, not saying that we better than men. I'm just saying we know how to cool down some things, like cool it, bring it down a little bit, bring it down, and then the men can come in, and get the semantics out of the way. But we just know how to cool things out, like bring it down a notch. You know how to bring it down a notch. You know what I mean?
I don't know what I'm gonna say on that because I think if I start talking about who, then I might be basically saying that I'm not voting for any of those women.
Oh, no, you
So
can't.
I'm gonna have to just remain neutral for a second on this one because
Nikki
I happen to know just a
vote,
little
so.
too many people in that race,
Right.
So I ain't gonna speak on it. I'm gonna just say vote for the most qualified person or the person who you think is gonna do the best job.
I say vote for the person who you see shows that they have a heart of a servant and they're gonna serve the people. You on mute, Sandra? We didn't hear you. You on mute? We can't hear you. Are you on mute? Because we can't hear you. I don't think she could hear us either.
I don't think she can hear us. She may be through.
Well, yeah, I just think, vote for the person who has a heart of a servant. That's all I see. If the person has been in the trenches, in the community, and you see them, that's who you need to vote for. But if you can't vote for someone because they're standing next to somebody who is endorsing them or is a popular person, because as we've seen, you can't really rely on people, other people's judgment. You have to rely on your own. So I say,
I'm going to say, do your homework. A lot of you know that I'm president of Miramar Democratic Club. We've been inviting the candidates to come out and speak since May. And so we've had Perry Thurston and Del Holness.
Mhm.
We're having Sheila Sheriff Phyllis McCormick this month. Next month is going to be Barbara Sharif. And in September, we're having Bobby DuBose. And so I just, like, as Nikki said, I encourage people to come here for yourself. Don't even rely on like what you read or those flyers people send to your house. Really get on the internet, do some research, go to the candidates' websites. You can go to the Miramar Democratic Club Facebook page and watch the videos, but really listen to what the candidates are saying and decide if that's what's best for you and your family and your life, because it is really important, as Nikki is saying, that this person is representing District 20, which is parts of Miramar. We have parts of West Sunrise, and it goes up into Palm Beach County. And so it's such a, gerrymandered area. It's such a diverse area that you really have to make sure you have someone who is going to look out for you, and you're not going to get lost in such a huge district. And I encourage you to even reach out to the candidates and talk with them. So whether you come on our Facebook page, you're welcome to come to our meetings and ask the candidates questions, but do your homework, because this is important. This is an important race. Everything you see going on in Washington, D.C. right now, the struggles they're having with getting the Voters' Rights Act passed, the fact that they did not want to do a hearing on the insurrection, and now Speaker Pelosi has had to do her own congressional committee. All those things matter, and we need this vote for this seat, for Absolutely. The issues that impact our lives. We still have not got healthcare fixed. We still don't have anything on policing, and just even coming up with some national standards or a national system to track offenders. We still need to work on like so many issues. Education. We still need to work on tolerance, and discrimination, and bills that are not just for one group or the other, but are for all people.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still dealing with the ramifications of Trump's horrible immigration plans. When we used to have people standing, and I was out there at the Miramar immigration office, people standing out there all day in the heat. And so we need to get that back on track and make sure people are back on track with their status. And I know Biden has passed, has written some executive orders about that, but we need to make sure the right person is there who's going to represent all the issues that affect South Florida and affect you and your family. So that's the best advice I can give, but Nikki and I don't get to vote. Sandra gets to vote in that race. So
she sure do. And y'all, and listen, Kay is right. Do your research on your peoples. Like, listen, if you're a Democrat, 10 people, look them up. Look at their website. Get a feel of what you're hearing, and reach out, because apparently they are taking calls and they are talking to people. And if you're a Republican, you're for lowly little Republicans, reach out. Check on them. See who who you like. Go on their platform. And our libertarians and our independents, they should have websites too, because they're running a campaign. So
and I would say, Nikki, I reached out, and there's some that don't get back to you. So now, if you can't call me while you're running,
right,
you're gonna take my call when you're in. That's all I'm saying. So it really is important that you reach out to make a connection, to see where they stand on issues that affect you and your family. We got a lot of people still recovering from COVID. The governor did not extend the unemployment money. And so a lot of people are struggling right now. You might want to ask these candidates, How are they going to support you and your family?
I'm just going to correct you real quick, Ms. K, and I don't want to step on your toes. Your government removed you.
Okay, that's true. He removed it.
There's no, the extension is there.
The extension is still available.
Your governor decided that Florida didn't need it anymore, right? That you all were too lazy and you deserve to be off of that. He's trying to take the crutch because you want you to go out there and work. Now, and think about it. We're in the heights of summer, right? Broward County has opened most of their schools up for summer school. That still requires supplies. That still requires clothing. That still requires food. That still requires childcare. But he decided to voluntarily remove the state, right? Didn't ask if it was okay with you, didn't check. And I want to give you numbers. Let me put these in context. About 400,000 people are out of work who are receiving these funds. Okay. Out of the 400,000, 177,000 of them are single moms. Put that into perspective. And he has decided that y'all need to get off of that because this is a crutch for you. So just wanted to correct you on that, Kate. There was no extension. He removed us from that. It was a voluntary thing.
It's true. And I know me, like everybody else, my electricity bill is always higher, right? Hurricane season is officially here. With the hurricane, we're blessed in South Florida that it passed us. We have very minimal weather here, but that's not everybody's case. And I mean, it is crossing through Tampa where I have relatives and family. So, I just think the timing was maybe a little insensitive because sometimes, you know how like when you're first getting over a cold and they say, don't go back to work the first day, stay in bed, let your body have a chance to heal, get yourself right, and then go back. I feel like economically, it's the same thing. Yes, the economy is opening back up, but don't take away the support the second, because a lot of people, including my own family, my husband was laid off during COVID. Just let go. Just like bye. After 22 years, bye. Had to go find a brand new job that he had never done before. We're blessed that he can do that. Not everybody was able to find a job. We were on unemployment for a time during COVID. It can happen to anybody and did happen to anybody. The fact that he's, when you take away those funds, you're also you're removing a lot of things that the state only gives you what, $300? Girl.
No.
And that's an addition.
$300 was the feds. The state gave like $175 or something like that.
Right. I was gonna say maybe $200. You're right. $300 was the Fed supplement. The state was $215 or something. I remember because I saw it when my husband applied, and I was like, "Babe, what we gonna do with that? What we gonna do with $200? That's our light bill."
Recording in progress.
So, a lot of people do need additional support, and so since that hasn't happened, this is a great opportunity to ask these people, what can you do to help us? Now, did you guys get that letter in the mail from the IRS that President Biden, what he's doing with the children's tax credit? And I got that in the mail saying that if you filed for the 2019, 2020 income tax and you have children under the age of 17, and I think there was 2 brackets. I don't know what my husband did with the letter, but there was 2 brackets. I want to say one was 0 to 6, you would get a certain amount of money, and the next one was like between 7 and 17. And so what Biden's trying to do is take your child income credit and start giving it to you now. And so the letter that we got said that, if you filed for your income tax for 19 and 20, there's nothing you need to do. You will automatically get like money direct deposited in your account every month. If you didn't file for both years succinctly, you need to make sure you go on the IRS website to make sure that they have your information. If you have children underage, you may qualify for this child income credit. And what I will do is I will find the link, because there is there's an income limit to who is qualified or not. But I didn't know if everybody knew that there is money out there that the president wants to start giving out right now, because he knows that a lot of families are still suffering and a lot of states are playing this game. So it is the same money that you would get during your taxes. So just so you know, people, it's not extra money. So he's just taking half of what you would normally get as a tax rebate, and he's giving it to you now up front. So when you file for your taxes, half of that will be gone, so that you know what to expect from that as well.
I'm glad he's explaining that, because there were a lot of folks who not in the 2020 tax season, I think maybe 2019 and the 2020 tax season, because of some of the changes that were made to the tax code, when they went to do their income taxes, they typically used to get refunds, and all of a sudden they owed money. And that was, I think, when they took away it was something that the former president did.
Yeah, Trump took away
contributions or something. They took it away and they gave it to them at that time. And people really didn't understand what that meant. So when they went to go do their taxes, they were like, yeah, where my money at? And they were like, no matter of fact, you owe us money. And it was very surprising. So at least people are put on notice that this is possibly what's going to happen. Because I know some folks who, they wait like during tax season, those who get refunds, that's a time where they do like major purchases, right? Because they're getting a bulk, amount of money at one time. So they use that to, okay, they got furniture to buy or refrigerator or whatever, but that's the time of year that they make their major purchases.
And you're right, Sandra, because this is like maybe $200 to $300 or something like that a month showing up in your bank account. Like you said, if you already got your budget and got your plan set up that every April I do my major things, April's going to come and you're going to get half of that. And so if you didn't save that little 200, that's just a different mindset, a different budgeting process that people need to be aware of.
Yeah.
But I think that the president is trying to mitigate some of these states who are pulling themselves out of these, out of the rescue plan. Which is unfortunate, but I do appreciate him making an effort to try to kind of mitigate that. So we're going to switch gears because we're running out of time. But let's talk about the upcoming senatorial. That these are like honorable mentions. These senatorial races. So and I was doing some research, and we're talking about women in the seats. And Black women. So let me give you a little bit of statistics. So Congress began this year with a record of 25 Black women out of 435 House members. Black women are mayors in 7 of the 100 most populous U.S. cities, up from one less than a decade ago. The number of Black women in the state legislature has nearly doubled in 2 decades to more than 4%. Now, these numbers to me are real small, it's minute, but apparently these are strides, okay? Black women are the core of the Democratic Party and a crucial group for our success in the general election. We know that campaigns engaging effectively with communities of color is critical to protecting and expanding Democrats' Senate majority. So we have an upcoming senatorial race. We have Sherry Beasley and Erica Smith for North Carolina. We have Val Demings in Florida, as you know. And those who haven't announced yet, but the critics and those who do, some of the research state that Stacey Abrams will be running for governor, and we have for Georgia, and then we have Terry Sewell in Alabama. These are very important, and the reason why we're talking about this is because, as you ladies know, we do not have a senator, an African-American female senator in our Senate since, Kamala Harris is now our vice president of the United States. So seeing these women in running for these Senate seats and these governor seats, it's really, really crucial that we support these women. We will start posting their websites and their information for donations. Read up on these ladies. Don't take our word for it. I've already done my research, and these ladies are solid for me. There may be some things you see and you may not like it, but I haven't found anything. But it's important that we support our sisters, because I'm telling you, when we are in positions of power that we help, we do amazing things. And Val Demings in our home state, it would be heaven if she can take over and get Rubio up out of there. It would be heaven, like extremely important. But what do you guys think about these ladies that are running?
I mean, I know the Miss Sewell from Alabama. She's already in the House of Representatives, so she's already in DC, and pretty sharp. I'm familiar with her. Some of the other folks I'm not familiar with. I'm happy to hear that Stacey Abrams is going to go ahead and make that run for governor again for the state of Georgia. I believe she has a very good chance of winning because she came so close the last time. And then I do believe that there was some shenanigans that went on with that last election, because how the person who's running for governor gets to manage an election in which he is in fact a candidate. So, that's my thoughts on that. Yeah. So I believe, she has a good chance. And I do believe, you were making a point about Black women in the District 20 race. I think there is going to be a significant, or at least there's a potential to be a significant number of Black women that are going to be both added to the House and the Senate of the United States, and some governorships. There's another sister that's running for governor. Don't get me the line about what state, but I believe there's another woman of color that's running for governor of a state besides just Stacey running in Georgia.
I'm really excited about Val Demings because, honestly, I'm just really getting sick of hearing Joe Manchin's name. And I was watching a program last night with my husband, and he was saying how he just supports the filibuster, and he can't go against the filibuster. And not only does he believe in, working together with the other side, but apparently the person who created the filibuster, and again, I'm going on memory. Y'all know I'm almost 50, so I'm going to need you to give me some leeway. But I believe it was former Senator Byrd whose seat he actually took. So former Senator Byrd was from his exact seat, and he is now in that seat. And he kept going on and on about how it would just be disingenuous and he would never offend the former senator by going against the filibuster. Y'all guess what that man was trying to use the filibuster for?
I think it was a Voting Rights Act, right?
There you go, Sandra.
There you go.
The Voting Rights Act. Okay.
Yes.
So we absolutely need Val Demings because this is nonsense. You're literally saying you're upholding the man who was against the original Voting Rights Act. And by upholding him, you will not allow this Voting Rights Act to go through. But somehow you are in support of voting rights.
And listen, this is really important, people, because, and let me just tell you, for those who identify as Democrats, we have 10 states that we can flip. Okay, this is why these midterm elections are so important. This is why participation is so important. This is why we stress that we want our people to be very involved in the political system and participate. Because we have 10 states, and those 10 states can be flipped. You have Pennsylvania, you have Wisconsin, you have Georgia, you have North Carolina, you have Arizona, Nevada, New Hampshire, Ohio, Florida, and Missouri. And I'm telling you, if we can flip those states, and I think people need to understand is not so much about Democrats or whatever, but the thing is, whatever Democrats put out, it affects everybody. Like we're trying to get
benefits.
That's the word I'm looking for.
That's the word, benefits.
That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you, Sandra. It benefits everybody. Mm-hmm. Even those Republicans who are diehard Trump fans that don't give a damn about nobody else but themselves and all about they Trump people, whatever, it benefits you too. And that's the only reason why I'm pushing that this needs to be flipped. Really, and to be quite honest and very blunt, the Republican Party and the Democratic Party don't do what they're supposed to do right by Black people. They just don't, period.
They don't do right by their own people. Sure.
I'm just saying.
And they've already started them not to be trusted.
Both parties are not to be trusted. And by my personal opinion, both parties tend to be a little trash. Okay. But at the end of the day, you have to align yourself with something that there's a benefit to it. And it's in long term, you feel the benefits long term, right? And so I'm confident that we can flip those seats. I'm confident we can flip those seats. So, but we have to really show support. And Black women, you know how we are. We wear the cape. We always come in at the end and save everybody. So we're gonna need y'all sisters to do this again. All the Soros, all the AKAs and the Deltas, you ladies come out in full force, and we appreciate you. And so we want you all to kind of really spread the word. There's Black women running in different states. And listen, the reason why we talk about different states, because they affect us, believe it or not. They come to, it comes to, when it comes down to the Senate, they affect us. And then when it comes down to a vote in the House that's really vital, they affect us. So it's important that we look at other states and we look who's running and be part of that process too, and talk about it, because because look where we're at. We're supposed to be the majority in the Senate, and we're still having issues. We're still having issues. So, it's important that we do look at what's going on, because if it not for the Senate, the John Lewis bill, the George Floyd policing bill, the anti-lynching bill, all of those things need to pass through the Senate. This is why we look at other states. This is why we have to make sure who we see and who is running for what. It's important.
And I would say similarly, Nikki, is why we have to make it happen here, because clearly some people who call themselves Democrats in other states aren't toting their line, their piece of the rope. So, we can't just rely on, they're tried and trusted. I don't know what other people's issue are, but we need to make sure that Florida sends people who represent what Florida needs. And there is no reason to take money out of our pockets. There is no reason to turn down. Did we ever get that Medicare that we never even got that? Remember when Scott was in office and Obama was offering? Thank you. So there's so much out there from the federal government that can make it easier on, again, children with special needs, seniors, other people with disabilities. So many people will have benefited from the federal help, and it's constantly turned down because of political reasons. I can't be bothered with that. We need to have people who are going to do that.
And Biden actually gave additional incentives to try to get states to take the assistance, and DeSantis still does not want to do it.
But he also didn't increase the amount that the state is giving out. The amount of money for our minimum wage is not what it needs to be. So I'm okay with you not taking the money if you're going to provide the money, but you're not taking the money and you telling people to come out here and work for $8 an hour. Okay, then you work for $8 an hour.
He's not going to do that.
Check to $8 an hour. If that's what you want other people to do, it's easy to say we're not going to take the money when you making $100 million, like all this $100,000, $200,000. Yeah, that sounds easy. When you make it $8 an hour, you would prefer to have had that help with health insurance and that help with some financial assistance.
And those same individuals that fail to give their constituents health insurance, they take the federally funded insurance that their job offers to them.
You see what I'm saying? They don't turn it down.
And even Scott, who was saying no, he was getting
now
that.
He has it, right?
All of that. They get that insurance for themselves, but they don't want it for the people that they're supposed to serve. So that's how they roll. They're doing it because they're allowed to get away with it. And, now folks know they have a record that you can use. And because they have that job don't mean they should be able to keep it. And we really need to pay attention to that, because they're out here with the super duper best insurance on the planet. And they're not even trying to give you a little bit, And if you are going to get something halfway decent, it's going to cost you hundreds and thousands of dollars a month, which most people can't afford. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Nikki, I know we're a little bit over, but we're doing better.
We did good because we usually go like an hour and a half, and we were under an hour today. So
we're under an hour.
That's progress, I'm sorry I missed out on all the Haiti talk. You know what I mean?
We can always revisit that conversation next week. As you know, this is going to be a tumultuous next 15 days or whatever. We just prayers, and not only that, but if you're in a group or in a community and whatever, actively find out what you can do to be a change and an asset to Haiti. I know that Sandra and even Kay, I know a couple of people in different organizations. We're going to reach out to those people, see what we can do on our end, and find out more information and kind of bring out this information if that's something we need to kind of express to people, because it's important that we actively be part of the process, not just talking about prayers and well wishes, right?
Yeah.
So that is the goal, to do that. Next week, we didn't get to do our Caucasity corner, but we will be doing that. We will be talking about Shikari.
Well, unless the world decides to drop some more surprises
Exactly,
on us,
right.
and we can, we make what they said, we make plans and then God laughs.
Yes, he does.
That's kind of what happened today, because we've been working on like what we were going to talk about like the whole week, and then all of a sudden,
give Nikki her
Nikki's
props.
like,
Nikki
call
be
me ASAP, and I'm like,
full
what happened?
production schedule. I was like, this woman, did she work for NBC? Like, she came with a full. I mean, it was.
I try to break them down into segments,
right?
And then give some background information. But listen, when I got the call this morning, I said, "What the?" I said, "You need to call me ASAP," and she was like,
"We just gonna throw all of that away, because how can you not?"
But seriously, we need to do that. As it comes closer to the time, I know that Kay's been interviewing candidates. Sandra, we start interviewing candidates as well. We'll try to bring in some clips on our show so you can see some of the interactions with the candidates. But it's important that people see that we are involved and we're participating and we're getting to know our candidates, right? And this is not just for this. We have upcoming races that are coming for 2022. I know Kay mentioned that there is a school board race. There's a few people running for this race. There's a 17-year-old running for that race.
Mr. Adderley.
Yes, Mr. Adderley. I ran for that race last year. I got people asking me to run again. I'm not sure. It's up in the air. I'm a little bit, I can get a little ignorant. So, but, I'm still thinking about it. And, listen, I just think at this point, any Black leadership, well, not any, let me take it back. Black leadership is needed. Representation matters.
Yes.
So it's important that we do our homework. And then
I just want to say, Nikki, 105,000 Black students in Broward County schools. And Dr. Rosalind Osgood is stepping down to run for another race. Voice and representation is needed. 105,000. Okay, so
we might need to talk to Mr. Adderley to see if
41% of the student body identifies as Black.
Mr. Adderley is 17, and I commend him for running for office. And I love that young people are being part of the political process.
They're fearless. They are fearless.
And I'm loving it. I'm loving every piece of it. I really am.
It's like, it's my turn now. I don't have to wait.
And people talk about, experience or whatever. Listen, you have a kid that went through the system, knows how the system works, is indoctrinated in the system. What better person to run? I just think that that's what it is. But we have to have a conversation with him. I'd love to have a conversation with him about that. See if that's opponent material. You just never know. I might just pop up. You just never
know. Run against the boy.
Listen, I'm all about
that boy gonna make you spend all your money. Because them little kids, if they don't know nothing else, they know that social media.
Make you spend your money, right?
No, and they know how to go viral.
Yes. Nikki, you got to work on your TikTok moves.
You know what I'm saying? You might have to do some dances or something.
Listen, I may have to ask him. Listen, I'm telling you, these kids have like these amazing powers, and it's wonderful that they use them for good sometimes. Like, I'm just listen. I have to get TikTok famous in order
I'm telling you, he gonna have you critiquing spaghetti and food online or whatever, or coming up with some sort of dance move.
Yes.
He has the whole kit and caboodle. You got the whole generation. What is it? Gen Z.
Gen Zs, right?
The millennials and the Gen Zs. He got all of them. You know what I'm saying? And listen, I just posted on our Instagram page that all the millennials have effectively, they've outnumbered the baby boomers.
Baby boomers, yes.
Can you imagine? That's like
more
that's
voters are millennials, yes.
They have.
We better start listening.
And they're actually campaigning for them to start voting at 16.
Yep.
There's a whole push that they want to start voting at 16.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm telling you, they're coming with it, honey. They're coming with all the smoke.
Yep.
I love it.
All the smoke. And I'm here for it.
Yeah.
So our Caucasity corner will be.
And there was some Caucasity happening this week. Come see me.
Did you see it? Did you see it, Kay?
I didn't see it.
Oh, you didn't see it.
3206, what, Gramercy or whatever.
So,
Come see me.
Mr. Cagney Matthews, that's his name is Cagney Matthews.
I saw, like, he went to the guy's house. Is that the guy?
Yes, that one.
So let's be clear. I
heard about it.
Okay, so the black guy he was talking to, that wasn't his house. That was his neighbor's house. He was protecting the elderly neighbor, okay? Because he's a bully. The white guy's a bully. Okay. And he just bullies everybody in the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. So the black guy was like, I'm sick and tired of you mistreating people and whatever the case was. And he was like, you're not going to come in her place. You're not going to be in her face and whatever and stuff like that. He cussed that man out, called him porch monkey, the N-word, and all that other stuff. And he said, I told the police officers to get these these end monkeys off my block. And that's how he's talking. Then he was so upset, Kay, that he said his address. And he said to come see him. He said, come see me. That's where I'm at. Come see me. So we pulled up.
We came and saw him.
Pulled up. And when I tell you,
everybody.
Yo, people came from far and wide to come see him. Yes,
to see him, and they were like,
just the neighbors.
This is Camden area.
Came to see him.
Nowhere.
And if you know anything about Camden, New Jersey, you don't want none of that smoke, okay? Camden, they had to dismantle their police department.
What?
You don't want no Camden, New Jersey smoke, and Camden, New Jersey was in the house.
Let me tell you something. Wow. When he came outside the first time to engage the group, there's a girl in the background. So what happened? She said, what happened? Woo. He was talking stuff. What happened? What you say? No. And there was another guy that came and he was talking to him. There's another video. I didn't know if you saw it, Sandra. He was like, no, you're gonna have to get up out of here. He was like,
yeah. It's so much so like the prosecutor, because he has a hearing on Friday, right? Because he hasn't posted bond yet. He has a hearing on Friday.
So he was arrested.
Yes, he was arrested like about 2 or 3 days later, right? And before he was arrested, they actually had police escorts in front of his house protecting him because the crowd was growing outside. And so now what the prosecutors are going to ask for is for him to be held pending his trial and to not have him released because they're getting more and more information about him. I think they're also afraid of for his safety. And I think beyond all of that, the police department has really been put on blast for not dealing with him sooner, right?
So there were people have been making complaints.
Police officers knew him by name.
They've been having making complaints for a few years.
The cop that came on the scene knew him by name.
And so going back to the beginning of the story, he was planning on going in this person's house for whatever reason to tell them.
He came there to cuss out the neighbor and tell the neighbor that the neighbor can't do this and they can't do that. Don't be coming in his face, this, that, the other. So the black guy came and said, listen, leave these old people alone. Stop old people.
Old people.
And he calling this man by his first name. He says, Brandon, this ain't got nothing to do with you. You ain't nothing but an N-word and you this, that, the other. And he's like, go back to Africa. He said, the man said, I was born here. And he's like, well, guess what? I don't care. You a monkey. And then he was telling on himself. Remember, Sandra? He's like, oh, you know what happened to such and such? You heard what happened to them? When he's like, yeah, I heard. The black guy says, yeah, I heard you bust their windows out. He said, no, they shot them with a shotgun. They shot their windows out. And you know what? Then he says, you know what happened to the daughter, which is, I guess, the association's daughter, guys.
And that elderly couple, I think they were part of the association.
Yes,
I think the elderly couple was part of the association. He was mad.
Said, you know what happened to their daughter? He said they ripped her up or something like that or whatever. He said, you know where I was at the whole time? I was at work. Now, how would you know all of that if you all at work? I mean, he was just telling on himself. And after he did all of that, he says his address and he told him to come see him. He cussed out the cop. The cop had to tell, and that's another thing that pissed me off. The cop was telling him, go back to your house or whatever. After I've done told you twice, you getting arrested on the third time. You don't make me talk to you more than once. They kept on saying, go over there, go there, get to your house, leave him alone, go to your house. Cops ain't do nothing, right? Then he cusses out the cop, okay? Then tells the cop and tells and on the thing, whatever, come see him.
Come see me.
So we pulled up.
Well, I mean, he made a request and we are polite people.
Yep.
So,
girl, you know, you got to see the video when they're.
I'm gonna go watch it now.
Now I gotta do it
he actually apologized.
Matter flag for me. They hitting him with the Black Lives Matter flag on top of his head. That just took me out.
He apologized before he got arrested.
He did.
Yeah.
It was a half-assed apology.
Well, I mean, he apologized.
You know what he said? He says,
What did he say?
"Oh, I use that word with all my friends, even my black friends." And Sandra, I said in one of the posts, I said to Sandra, I need proof of these black friends he's speaking of.
He refers to himself the same way.
Haven't we heard that before, Sandra? Mm-hmm. I talk to all my friends that way. I'm gonna throw this computer out the window, y'all. I'm sick of hearing that. Your rudeness to the people who decide to put up with it is no excuse to use that with the general public.
And if the person told you that I don't want you calling me that, then you need to be respectful and and not call him that.
We're not going around calling white people white trash.
Oops.
When we get into arguments with white people, we don't call them white trash. Matter of fact, we bring up nice names. If you're an annoying woman, we call you Karen. You're an annoying man, we call you Ken. We don't even cuss you. We don't even call you out your name. But you out here calling us all N-words.
All kind of stuff.
And then you apologize. You go, oh, I should have known better. Oh, I was so angry. Oh, so because you angry, it's okay.
No, he blamed it on the alcohol.
Who sing that? T-Pain, didn't he?
Was it? Oh, was it T-Pain or no? I think it was Jamie Foxx or something, right?
That was Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, blame it on the alcohol.
He been listening to too much Jamie Foxx. He need to let that go. That's an old school album. I need him to
go. Then he's like, I need oppression training.
I was drunk,
dude. Really? That's what we doing?
Okay. I like that. That's what you made me laugh with that, Nick.
He said he needs oppression training. That's what he said. He said he needs oppression training. He needs to get training with.
You know what? I want to thank him for identifying he needs help. We're gonna start that oppression training. At least he could admit it. Some people can't admit.
He only admitted it because he got caught, sis. Because he on blast. Now he gotta look like I ain't mean it. Too late, bro. And that one black guy says it don't matter. You gonna have to move up out of here.
First of all, you can't be harassed on old people. What is your problem? That's just straight disrespectful, regardless of color. Like, what are you doing? Where are you from? That you just go around bullying old people. I mean, like, come on, dude, do better in your life. And then you want to bring race into it? Man, come on. You gotta. There's no room for that. I'm sorry. I'm just raised by 4 grandparents. I can't get down with that at all. I have no respect for him.
And he ain't the first one, and he ain't gonna be the last. Y'all keep sitting there. Y'all keep, putting out your addresses and be talking about come pull up.
Ain't nobody gonna do that no more. They like there ain't nobody telling them to come. They ain't gonna tell nobody to come see them no more.
Here's another thing. That one boy that was in North Carolina that everybody pulled up to, nobody knew what his address was. But they circulated it so much that was like, oh, that's over here. Oh, that's over there. And then everybody pulled up. So now we don't even need the address. We could just look and be like, okay, who's familiar with this area, whatever, because we all gonna pull up.
I mean, but it might be it's different for people to just figure out where you are and then come see you. When you invite them to come see you, the police were like, you told them to come. It was an invitation. You said, come holler at me, dog, and I did. So it's different when it's an invitation.
His face was, I wasn't ready.
He was not ready.
He wasn't ready for all that smoke. And let me tell you, we don't just come, Kate. We come with our seats, our igloos, our things.
They came camped out. They're ready to stay there for a minute.
They brought their seats. They brought bottled water. They brought chips. We didn't come to play.
They got a snack pack, like that big bag.
Music and everything. They had music and all that. It was a party.
Girl.
On the streets.
Let me tell you something. Kay, you need to go find that video and watch it.
I do have to watch it.
Because I'm telling you, they black people, chap. And let me
it wasn't only black people there.
That's what I was gonna say. Let me be honest. There was some white people there with Black Lives Matter shirts, child. It's sprinkled in. There was a couple of them, and they were like, yeah, you trash. You got to get up out of here.
You're making us look bad, bro.
There's one thing I will say that I'm starting to see is people just recognize wrong when wrong is wrong.
Yeah.
Whether it's their race or not, people are doing a better job of just saying, you know what, you're wrong.
Yeah.
You're just wrong, period. It doesn't matter if I'm black, you're black, whatever. That's just straight up wrong. Mm-hmm. I think, and I'm honestly seeing that more, like you guys were saying, with the young people, the millennials, they will call any and everybody out. They don't care what race you are. If you did wrong, you're gonna get called out. I admire that.
Yeah,
I do. I admire
fearless. That. I tell you, they fearless.
They are. They don't play games.
Fearless.
They don't care.
Yeah,
they do not care.
We what's going to be on our college application now. Shoot, sometimes those arrests and fighting for what's right can be, that's a plus. You could get into college with that kind of mess. Before we were like, listen, I ain't trying to stay in I ain't trying to get in no trouble. You see, because I got to be trying to get somebody else gonna be signing my check, so I need to behave properly. Right. Now it's like not saying anything is what will get you in trouble. You can't even stand by and not get involved and have your voice heard when you're witnessing some levels of injustice. Absolutely. And they're just more aware because they have access to so much more information than we ever did.
Well, I was talking to my principal yesterday, and he was telling me, of course, with some of the things we did at my school this year, we did a whole thing on immigration status and how your status doesn't matter. And a lot of my Brazilian students began to speak up and just talk about what it was like for them to be in this country, whether they were here legally, illegally, whatever, citizens, non-citizens. And I guess he got some pushback from teachers and coworkers saying, like, why are you letting these kids speak up? And he said the same thing to me, Sandra, that you just said, was that you right now, you can't just sit silent. That is as detrimental as being a part of the problem. In fact, being silent is a part of the problem. He's like, these kids have voices and what they're saying is right. And so his job is to support education, support children with academically, socially, emotionally. And so he did. And I really believe it's for the betterment of everybody. Even me as a teacher, I was like, oh, I didn't know. I learned things. And so I do think so. But there is a lot of pressure. Like you say, the old school where we're thinking, don't, These new kids are like, no. If you think it's wrong, you call it out. You videotape it and you call it out.
Put them on blast.
That's the only way we're going to get better.
Yep.
I'm all about putting on people on blast. So on that note, we're going to end our broadcast.
We really are this time.
Yes, we are.
We're acting like a Baptist church. That pastor be like, I know we're gonna let you go. In conclusion, and then they talk for like another 10 minutes.
But we really gonna let y'all go, all right? Because we're really gonna let y'all go. But we'll talk more about Haiti next week. Hopefully, some things have moving and changing. I'm gonna jump on another meeting right now. There's an emergency Haitian meeting that I just got. So I'm telling, I think Sandra it's like through the Haitian caucus or something like that. And they're talking about some new things. So we're going to jump and see. And that's how you get involved to kind of help. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But for my parting statements, I'm going to say that to all white people, if you happen to catch the show on YouTube, don't put your address out there and tell people.
Nobody do that. White, black, nobody. Don't do that.
And don't call people the N-word and somebody videotaping you, because apparently this generation can find out who you are in less than a few minutes and blast your information out. Yeah. Tell people where you live, what job you work at. Mm-hmm. As you can see, a lot of white people have lost their jobs in the recent, mm-hmm. and as of late, with the foolery. So this is a new day.
Yep.
And you all need to understand that Black people are tired of sick and tired of being sick and tired, and we know our rights and we know the law, and we will take full advantage of that, right? Just like how he was toting, though this is a common area. Them Black people were out there saying, "This common area, what you got to say?"
It was on the street.
I'm just trying to tell you, we don't play. Don't do that. All right. Summer's still going. Babies are out there. They're walking around, playing at parks. Be cognizant. There was news the other day, a 5-year-old just drowned in a pool. Please, if you have the opportunity to teach your babies how to swim, please do that over the summer. It's very important that we protect our babies. There's still COVID. We in these COVID streets. There's a variant out there. So even though you've been vaccinated, you still can carry the virus. So please be cognizant of your friends and family, and do your research and learn about your candidates and be part of the process. It's important that we are part of the process. I want to ingrain that in you all, part of the process, right? So love y'all, love us for real. We pray for Haiti again, and we pray for the First Lady. We hope that she makes a speedy recovery. Again, like I said earlier, Sandra, they brought her to Florida. She's now here.
Yeah.
And we're praying for her wherever she's at. And
probably at Jackson.
I hope so.
Jackson Hospital gonna save your life. You got some trauma, you got to go to Jackson. They're gonna save your life.
I'm hoping that she is well taken care of, and if she is at Jackson, we pray for the surgeons there, the doctors there, and that they make the right decision where she's concerned. That's my final thought.
I'm going to go next, Sandra, and you can close it out. My final thought is the District 20 race. We lost a great hero and leader in the Honorable Elsie Hastings, but I think this is a unique opportunity where we're bringing in someone brand new, right? And I'm going to challenge the residents of Miramar and all of District 20 to make these people work for it and make it count for you and your family. Very often people just run and you might vote for a name or based on a card you get at your house. But I really want you to get involved and contact these people at the very least. Come to the MDC website or on Facebook and hear the candidates, because it's so often you do have people who've been there for years. Now we have the opportunity to choose someone new. And so do everything you can to make sure that person represents you and your family, because at the end of the day, that's their job. And sometimes we think of it being so big, right? But whatever you and your personal family are going through, it's their job to make it better. So reach out to them. I really want you to take the opportunity to be a part of the process on this one. And I will keep you updated, because we have, they have not gone through, what is the process, Nikki? Like the day where you have to officially, you're officially on the ballot. That hasn't happened yet. That's coming up soon. So I will get you the date for that when all candidates are, I want to say endorsed, but that's not the word.
No.
But you know what I'm talking about, though, right?
Yeah, they have to qualify for the
That's the word.
Yeah, so they can qualify by signature or by, I think, paying the fee.
And so the next update is to see who qualifies, but it's really important that you let your voice be heard on that. And so I'm going to leave this with you. Get involved. It really matters. It really matters.
Yeah.
Sandra?
Yeah, no, I mean, the ladies pretty much talked about both of the things that I would want to address. Like what happened in Haiti today was just extremely devastating. I'm a practicing attorney. I do immigration law. I represent almost all of my clients are Haitian, not all, but a significant percentage of my clients are Haitian. My parents are Haitian. I consider myself Haitian, so I'm very ingrained in the community, and it's just extremely tragic on what happened. It's going to be a big setback for the political, for Haiti government getting stabilized. So, I mean, we really got to just, pray, support. Hopefully there won't be too much additional violence in that situation within the next weeks or so. We'll find out how that happened, because you want to know how is it that someone can have access to the president of a country to do something to that effect. So, I'm sure we'll be slowly getting information and finding out why that happened. So definitely, pray for Haiti. And I wish, the nation becomes stronger and figure out a way to really work together so nothing like this will happen again. So that's where I'm at with that. Elections absolutely matter. That's what's important. Be cognizant of who it is that you're voting for. The information is out there for you to get it. And that's just what we need to do. That today is that day where life can change in an absolute second. And we saw that happen. And we get reminders all the time, but this is yet another reminder, of that things can change in a second. So let's be thankful and grateful. Good night.
Well, until next week, ladies, until next week, let's just count your blessings, knowing that, you're in a country that by all intents purposes is the best country in the world. But that gives us the opportunity to help others and be a beacon for others and be a voice for others and be a voice for the voiceless. And so this is what we're trying to do here. And so, let's hold each other. Let's check in with each other. And we'll see you all next week.
See you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Same time, 5:30.
Same time, 5:30.
Same time, same
YouTube, Instagram. No, wait, YouTube, Facebook.
Yeah, not Instagram. I think we gotta do like
broadcast,
something else. Huh?
if you like the broadcast, subscribe, share. But right now we're only doing Facebook and YouTube right now. We can't do Instagram.
Can't do Instagram.
Yeah.
So like the channel on YouTube and like our page on Facebook.
All right. And if you want to come to the show, email us on raceandtheracist@gmail.com.
Yep. If you want to join us or you have any suggestions.
Yes.
All right.
Off suggestions, that is. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.